before all of that, our first guest today has completely turned her life around after losing everything to a gambling addiction.
Lisa Walker gambled away £500,000, lost her home, even ditched her husband on their wedding night to place bets.
And with more women than ever seeking support, Lisa's here to help others by sharing her story. Good morning,
Morning,
to you,
Lisa.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. Can I ask you, what was your first experience of gambling? You were very small, weren't you?
Yeah, my first experience, I was about 8 years old. My dad used to take us to Southend on sea, my sister and my mum. That was our holidays.
Yeah.
And I guess the penny arcades, what we used to go in with the 2p's. And I guess I remember sort of wanting the big pot of 2p's and pushing them in. And my sister wanted to go to Peter Pan's playground, but I wanted to stay in the arcade.
So she wanted to go on the rides,
Yeah.
but you were just happy...
Yeah, just
for the
happy pushing
2Ps?
it and watching my dad on the fruit machine. And I guess even from a young age, I started to get a buzz for gambling
Yeah.
at a young age.
But, I mean, they do like that, children, when you win prizes and things like that. And then how did it develop from there, Lisa?
So on my 18th birthday, my dad took me to to the casino, just me and my dad. And when I look back, I think that's quite bizarre for an 18-year-old to go to a casino with her dad. But I never was addicted at that time. I was always in control. Fast forward in my 20s, had my daughter, Georgia, at 23. And unfortunately, Georgia was starved of oxygen at birth. So Georgia was in and out of Great Ormond Street Hospital. And then I had my son, Danny. They're 12 months apart, my children. So by the age of sort of 25, I had 2 children. And then my marriage rocks began to appear. You know, I think having 2 children, one of them severely disabled, a lot of pressure.
Of course.
So we ended up separating when we were young. But he still has contact with my children now. And then when I was 29, that's when everything changed. That's when I had the big win.
So that was 2001, wasn't it? So at this point, you'd carried on with gambling and you were still gambling with the little kids, even as your first marriage came to an end.
Yeah.
But in 2001, tell us what happened then that changed everything.
So the 2001, I went to the casino in Southend, the Rendezvous Casino, with my sister and 3 other people. Had about £50 on me. Started playing the progressive poker. For anyone that plays poker, if you get dealt the royal flush, it is like winning the National Lottery.
The Holy Grail.
The Holy Grail. And I just had my pound on the progressive jackpot and I picked up my cards and I hit the 10 Jack Queen King Ace of Diamonds.
You had a royal flush.
I had a royal flush and it was Chinese New Year. Everybody was coming up to me, touching me. Lucky, lucky Lisa, lucky Lisa. And then...
How much did you win, Lisa?
I won over £127,000 for a pound.
And at that point, what did that mean to you and your family?
Wow. At that point, my mortgage was £65,000. It was the first house I bought. So in my head, I was thinking I can pay my mortgage off.
Yes.
And I can take the kids to Disneyland, you know, perhaps just, invest a little bit. I was a full-time carer, so I was on carer's allowance.
Yeah.
And
it sort of secured your future. You're kind of thinking, we're all right.
This will secure my future and everything's going to be all right.
And then, was it the buzz of it or how you felt about that big win? What then led you to become a problem that you weren't in control of?
I think after I won the money, I was enticed back to the casino.
Yeah.
I wasn't given any guidance, no financial guidance. I was just said, you know, you can come back, free dinners, free meals. And then I guess at the time, it had come out the fixed odds betting terminals in the shops, which at the time was £100 a spin. So I became heavily involved with the roulette machines. I became heavily involved with football bets. I bought a dog to race at Romford Dogs. I actually bought a greyhound, part of the Bubbly Syndicate. I started travelling up and down the country on my own, gambling.
Did you start thinking this is getting out of hand, though, Lisa? Were you sort of aware that actually you couldn't keep up with the pace at which you were betting?
I think at first it wasn't as bad, you know. I wasn't doing hundreds and hundreds, But then in the end, it became, I didn't have any respect for money. I lost everything. I lost myself. I lost my self-worth. Gambling addiction is such a lonely addiction, and especially as a woman and also a mum and a carer, I felt so isolated. I didn't know where to turn, and it just, every single day I needed to gamble.
You didn't just lose your self-worth and those things you talked about, you lost everything you owned. You lost your house. You were suddenly having to sleep in a homeless shelter. Your children, what happened to them?
So when I was 35, which is 18 years ago, I ended up at my local council because I lost my house. And I remember as if it was yesterday that the homelessness officer sat me down and said, "Lisa, how has this happened?" And I said, "I've got a gambling problem. I can't stop gambling." And she said, "I wish you'd been an alcoholic or drug addict because I don't know what to do with you." And I look back at that and I think, if only there was support out there for me like there is now. So Bet No More now are working with local councils to really bring this, you know, to life, that there is a need for it. And I just think that there was no signposting for me.
There was really a time as well where you crossed a line, where you were getting married in Las Vegas and you kind of crossed that emotional line where you left your wedding and went to place bets. Did you think in your head, I'm really out of control now? Or how did you feel?
I think when I was 45, I got married in Vegas, and people are probably watching this thinking, she's nuts, you know, why get married in Vegas when you're a compulsive gambler? But I know I'd been to Vegas twice before. I know I sort of planned it in my head what was going to happen. I knew that people would be drinking. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I've never took drugs. But I knew that gambling was going to be there.
Did your fiancé, now your husband, who stayed by you, did he know you had a bit of a
He knew when we met. I told him about my story, but he didn't know to what extent.
But he found out that night, didn't he?
But he found out that night.
Because you literally left him to go off and gamble all night.
Yeah, I left everyone at Harrah's Casino. I went back to the New York, where we were staying, in my wedding dress, and I played till 5 o'clock in the morning, and I actually got out a payday loan wired to my bank account.
Gosh, Lisa.
Oh my goodness.
So all of these moments are escalating. What was the point when you went, that's it, I've got to stop, I've got to find a way to curb my addiction?
So on the 1st of April 2018, I just got back from Vegas and I had to borrow £2,000 off my son to pay off this payday loan, which I'd never done. And I went into the betting shop and I spent it in 35 minutes.
So your son gave you the money and then you just gambled it?
And that was the day that I reached out to Gamblers Anonymous, a guy called Alex, who I know is watching today. He's actually in Singapore. And I just remember that lonely walk back to the car, and I put my head on the steering wheel and I just said, God, if there's someone out there, please help me. I need help. And I walked into Gamblers Anonymous on the 2nd of April. There was 35 men and one other woman. And that's when I started to turn my life around.
Which you've managed to do.
Yes, yeah.
You've not had a bet since that day, which is extraordinary. We're in the run-up to Christmas now as well, and I think one of the things that you're really keen to talk about is women who are gambling addicts and actually that drive to place more bets as we approach Christmas, because you desperately want to buy things for your family, but you're caught in this sort of this maelstrom of your addiction.
I just think that there's so much pressure with social media, you know, to buy all these presents, to have a wonderful Christmas. People are trying to keep up with everybody else, and perhaps gambling is just that way out. We'll just make a quick £500, £1,000. We can pay for Christmas, we can have a lovely Christmas, but unfortunately, it's not like that. And there's so many women that are struggling over, men and women that are struggling, that are lonely over Christmas. You know?
I think also it's so easy now as well with social media and the apps that are available, which weren't available during the time when your addiction was at its peak. If there is anybody sat at home right now doing on their phone or doing anything like that, what would be your advice, Lisa?
So obviously, online gambling is everywhere now. We all know we've got it in our phones. My top bit of advice would be reach out, put gam stop. You can self-exclude. There's so many great support groups out there. There's great charities doing great work. I think the advertising. I think if I could sit down with Keir Starmer around a table and all these people, you know, the Gambling Commission, and say to everybody, let's get round the table and talk about the advertising. I've got an idea that when an advert comes up for gambling, which we are bombarded with, that there's a QR code. It's so easy to put a QR code on, and that will tell everybody that's struggling or that is affected by somebody's gambling, because we've got to remember affected others.
Yes. Yeah.
Because for every person that gambles, there's between 10 and 15 affected by that person's gambling. So if we could signpost them to support services and treatment, that would be such a massive turnaround for so many people.
Yeah. It's a brilliant idea.
Lisa, stay there for just a moment, because we just want to say, if anyone's been affected by anything that Lisa's just been talking about, you can find the support and helplines on our This Morning website. We're going to carry on this, aren't we?
Yeah, we certainly are. We're continuing the conversation in our phone-in today with psychotherapist Kathleen Saxton. I think that's the real feeling, Kathleen, of people being at home alone as well.
Absolutely. It's such an isolating addiction, as Lisa has said. And so we'd love to hear from any of you. If it's you that's struggling with an addiction in some corner of this gambling side of things, if it's a member of your family, it could be a partner, it could even be your child, we'd love to hear from you. We've gone from sort of high street bookies on the high street into a casino in our pocket 24/7. So many of you are affected. We would love to hear from you.
Thank you, Kathleen. Give us a call for free, 08000 30 40 44, or scan the QR code on screen now to get involved using our free This Morning app. Please get in touch by 11:15 today, and you must be 18 or over.
And the good news is that you're great. Gary's stuck with you. Life's good.
Yeah, oh my God, Gary's amazing. He is, you know, he's just my rock. My family are my rock. Leanne over there, you know, works for Bet No More UK. Everybody is supporting me, and my life is just so unrecognisable. And thank you so much for having me on this sofa and for, you know, raising awareness of gambling.
It's hugely important, Lisa.
It's so important.
And you turning your life
Absolutely.
around,
You know,
will be so inspirational to lots of people who've been watching this morning.
And the strength that she shows as well is
Thank
just
you.
really
West
amazing.
Ham have won 2 on the bounce and got a draw last
my
weekend. Lisa's a
Lord.
West Ham season ticket holder.
No,
So things
massive.
are looking up, right?
Things are looking up. We've got Liverpool on Sunday.
Yeah, oh, then
you know?
actually they're struggling too, so maybe
So-
thank you for coming in, Lisa.
And thank you so
Oh,
much.
hello.
Thank
So
you.
thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload tons of new content every single day. So hit the subscribe button, like all the videos, and don't miss out. We'll see you in the morning.